Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Hi, Wendy. How you doing
today?
Mike.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm freezing.
I'm also freezing. How are you, Allison?
I'm great, and I'm so happy that no one's dead this week. I mean, probably some people are dead, but I don't think we're going to be talking about any of those dead people.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yes.
And it's the warmest day we've had, I think, this year.
Yeah, and you're still
Even
freezing.
Well, we're freezing because we're in the basement of Cherry Pit Recording. We're in the pit of Cherry Pit Recording Studios, where we do our Sunspot recording. So Ben is doing guitars today, so you might hear some.
Listen carefully. Wait, what? You hear that?
Yeah, that's some metal too. Ben is summoning our Dark Lord upstairs.
He's drinking from the goblet of rock.
We arrived here yesterday and recorded some drums and bass, and now Ben's recording some guitars. So while he's doing that, we're
going to do a little podcast and talking today.
Well, he's summoning Satan. We summoned Allison.
Yes.
Ah, well, you know.
Very similar.
Close,
we got a much better deal on our end.
Yes, I think so too. So anyway, we're in the recording studio. New Sunspot music. You're going to hear that next month. And if you guys haven't met us before, I'm Mike and
I'm Wendy.
And we're from the band Sunspot. And we're with my sister, Allison Jornlin from
MilwaukeeGhost.com.
So we are just going to bring you a little bit of the paranormal and pop culture today. And first of all, thank you. Last episode we talked about you can share some of that Valentine's Day love with a new 5-star review on iTunes, and it worked.
They did. They really did. Somebody out there actually loves us.
Somebody out there loves us.
They like us. They really like us.
I know, with a 5-star review, baby. And so,
so thank you, anonymous reviewer, for the 5 stars. Much appreciated.
Yeah, and if you want to anyone that wants their review said aloud on the air or even sung, we've been known to sing 5-star reviews.
It does happen from time to time.
We've been known to sing 5-star reviews. You can just go to iTunes and leave a review, and if you leave a nice one, we'll sing it. If you leave a nasty one, we might even sing it if it's funny enough.
But it still has to have 5 stars.
Yes, that's
sung.
right. That's true. 5-star reviews get sung on the Other Side podcast.
Right.
So anyway, usually we get together and talk about whoever died in the paranormal community. And this week, good news, nobody in the paranormal community that we know at least has died.
Yay. Good job, everybody.
Good job on staying alive. We're going to do our best to do that today in the basement.
Yes.
So, Allison, look, if anything happens to us during this podcast or we don't make it out of here, it's your job to continue the fight.
Oh,
We're counting
man.
on you, Allison.
Yeah.
I have to reveal the truth.
It's your job.
Oh,
It is your right.
it's no pressure or anything.
It's only the entire world counting on you. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Okay, well, we got to keep
the
you alive
planet Earth.
somehow, some way. Maybe get you a space heater. That's not prone to, catching
Hey.
fire.
You know, I used to get excited when I was a kid, too, because I always thought a space heater meant it was from space. Or it had something to do with the space program. Then I'd be like, a space heater? Oh, yeah. Like it had a NASA symbol on it or something. Or we got this one from the shuttle.
Yeah, like those astronaut blankets, made of tinfoil
yeah.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And they call those space blankets, too. Right? The tinfoil.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
right.
space blanket. At least that's cool and silver. Like a space heater is just small and starts fires.
Dangerous.
That's right. It's, here's another product endorsement. How about the Tempur-Pedic bed? Okay, I have one. I do love it. So if you're hearing that, Tempur-Pedic, we
And they
could
don't
use
pay
a
us anything.
sponsorship. But it's, the one of the selling points that it was space age material created for the astronauts.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and I didn't either. So the thing is, I've been sleeping on hay for the past 5 years, and I could have had space age material.
That's right.
Oh, God, I feel so ripped off.
See?
I do. Well, the reason it's important to take this truth these truths to the entire planet, Allison.
Yes.
Even if we die here in the basement of Cherry Pit Studios in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. Like, what a place to go. It's like we're going in the bottom of Menominee Falls. It's important because there's another planet out there. There is another world, and that world is full of people that are coming for us.
I think the whole planet might just crash into us.
I think you know what? I think so too. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about Planet X. That is the planet.
Sounds so tough.
It's the planet of naughty movies. It's like Planet X. I'd like to go there.
We don't mess around with PG or R.
Right. It's straight to penetration at Planet X. No, I'm just saying that's what happens. It's the Motion Picture Association of America, not me, that says those things.
Yes. Okay.
So the thing is, Planet X is a planet outside the realm of Pluto, somewhere in the solar system. And it's been in the news lately because astronomers have said that they discovered another planet in the solar system. And this is just like this year that this 9th planet might look outside the solar system. And, well, we'd say 10th planet, but what happened with Pluto?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready to talk about the loss of Pluto yet.
So sad.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't long ago. We had Pluto.
Well, and there's another connection that I can reveal later. That has to do with this Planet 9 from outer space story. That has to do with the demotion of Pluto. So we can talk about that in a little bit.
Well, they've been, they have rumors, and they've had rumors since the 19th century about the existence of another planet in the solar system. But they just couldn't prove it. They couldn't find it. You couldn't see it with a telescope in the 19th century. I'm surprised they could see anything in the 19th century.
I know, that's amazing.
It's like back then, were things even in color? I don't, when you were a kid,
everybody was in black and white.
Did you ever have
and they all moved with jerky movements.
Right, they all moved at 12 frames a second. It was very strange.
And there was only piano music playing all the time behind them.
Like a honky-tonk piano, maybe.
Yeah, or like everybody just danced to Scott Joplin's Maple Leaf Rag all the time. That's like the only. They're like, oh man, like what are you guys gonna play today? Well, the Maple Leaf Rag, of course.
What else?
Such is our schema, cobbled together with little bits of misinformation and television over the years. Coming to you.
The thing is, that's probably as accurate as some of the theories we discuss on this program.
Oh well, that is sadly true.
So, but the thing is, they envisioned that there was this planet out there, and people were saying that Pluto fit that bill.
Right.
But Pluto wasn't big enough.
It was too wee.
It was too wee of a planet. People like Pluto, you're not even a planet anymore, are you?
Poor little wee Pluto.
You'd like to fight about it, you little crybaby. So, anyway.
Poor Pluto.
I know. So that's why I said I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it, because like Pluto got kicked out of the club, and all like the rhymes and stuff we learned when we were kids are wrong. Like when you're trying to remember all the planets and everything. Now everything they told us when we were children is a lie.
That
is so true.
Yeah, well, I mean that's kind of true.
Actually, it was untrue.
Hey, okay. So
drum sets upstairs, or I'd do the rim shot.
You can't do a rim shot. Maybe we'll add one in post.
Right.
Okay. Now let's fast forward to 2015. Now Pluto's out of the club. Pluto, you're not big enough to be considered a planet. And Neil deGrasse Tyson made a big deal out of it. Like everybody asked him what he thought. And it's like, well, he's the only physicist on the planet. Let's ask the only physicist who's good on television, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know if they asked Michio Kaku about it.
Yeah, he's the other guy.
He's awesome. I'm actually trying to make my hair like Michio Kaku. Like I was looking at myself in the mirror the other day, and I've got kind of longer page boy kind of hair, and I'm like,
life goals, Mike.
Yeah, it's like I want to look like Michio Kaku. Because if you guys see him, Dr. Michio, first of all, he's brilliant, and they actually got him to do a bunch of stuff for the Fantastic Four premiere, I believe, last year.
Really?
So he did a series of videos on
that's cool
on the science, and he's always doing the science of science fiction. Like they'll have him on Coast to Coast, and we'll be bringing up Coast to Coast several times today because that's where some of the people we've been discussing have been allowed to further their brilliant ideas. And but they'll always have Michio Kaku on, and they'll always ask him stuff, and he seems like a fun guy, and I want to have hair like him. I want to be a silver fox like Michio Kaku.
Someday, Mike.
One of these days I will have that. Anyway, so they used mathematical models and computer simulations to deduce the planet's existence as Planet X outside,
lurking outside the orbits of our solar system.
Right, screwing up orbits. Like, why isn't the math right?
Yeah,
well,
so
why it's not right.
A little bit too much gravitational pull, apparently, affecting the objects out there.
Yeah, and so here's how one of the scientists that discovers it describes it.
Is it Michael Brown?
It is Michael Brown.
Whoa.
Okay, as I was alluding to earlier, I was doing a little bit of research on this myself, and I found out that Michael Brown was the one who led the charge to demote Pluto.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He's responsible.
He's the guy with the Scottish accent making fun of Pluto. That's Michael Brown. They call me Michael Brown, laddie.
Oh,
and
you're so wee.
Oh, what a wee little planet. Get out of my solar system, eh?
So some people were saying that the naming of this new theoretical planet as Planet 9 was his kind of negative comment to Pluto. And just another thorn,
like
another
jabbing
jibe.
him.
Yeah, he's just jabbing at Pluto once
You
again.
found another planet, you little bastard.
Yeah, this one we're gonna
Remember
name
when
Planet
you were a
9.
planet?
You're tiny little. You're just a tiny, like an asteroid. Like an asteroid.
Glorified asteroid.
Right. Anyway, so here's what he said, and here's his quote in the press release. It's almost like having 6 hands on a clock, all moving at different rates. And when you happen to look up, they're all in exactly the same place. And that's how he tried to describe the fact that the elliptical paths, the orbits that some of these icy bodies in the Kuiper belt beyond Neptune have quirks in their orbits that can only be explained by the gravitational influence of a larger, more distant planet.
A beastie planet.
Beastie. 6 hands on a clock. Can you imagine?
You picture it. It's out there. It's lurking. It's so far away from the sun. It's just in the dark. Just like.
And I apologize for the horrible Scottish accent, but realize that Michael Brown is a Scotsman who made fun of Pluto.
No, I don't think he's a Scotsman. I
know he's not a Scotsman.
He's a guy from Caltech. I don't know if he has any sort of accent, not even like surf's up type accent, because he's from
Hey,
Caltech.
dudes, it's like 6 hands on a clock, man. All moving at different rates, but they end up the same thing. Whoa.
It was just like that. That's a little bit more accurate to Caltech, I would think.
Yeah. So Planet 9, as the mystery object is known now, has not been yet observed directly, but he said that they hope other people are going to get inspired and start searching for Planet 9. What he forgets to mention, Michael Brown, Pluto hater, kilt wearer.
Who, me?
Talking about me? Anyway, the thing about that is he forgets.
He might fight us. You better watch out.
He's
If he is Scottish.
He might give us a Glasgow kiss.
Right.
That's a headbutt. If you didn't know, the Glasgow kiss is a headbutt. Anyway, so what he forgets to say is that we've known about Planet X. Back what they called a Planet X. First of all, because X stands for the kind of unknown, and also the X-rated planet.
Yeah.
And it stands for the 10th planet of the solar system. But there's a man who called it, and this is where it gets tough, because I don't know exactly how to say it.
There's many pronunciations, it seems.
Nibiru, or Nibiru,
Are you talking about?
Nibiru.
What? Did your computer just say its name?
Say what?
Nibiru.
Okay. So how do we say that again?
Nibiru.
Okay. So
I think that computer's wrong.
There's actually a YouTube video about how to pronounce.
It's pronunciation guide. Who posted this, Mike? So.
Okay. Well, pronunciation guide is their name on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sorry. How to pronounce?
Nibiru.
Thank you. And actually, it's just a little YouTube video that says Nibiru 10 times. But so that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Allison, how would you like to pronounce it?
Nibiru.
Nibiru.
We should make our own YouTube video of Allison pronouncing it her way.
And just saying it like 10 times. Nibiru. Or saying it like Michael Brown would. Nibiru. That's the real planet, not that wee little Pluto.
He's got it out for Pluto, I think.
What a foolish planet that is.
That wee little panty waist thinking it's something floating around.
You're not even a moon.
That's what the internet said anyway, and must be true. That he's got it out for Pluto.
Right, well, just like Pronunciation Guide tells us how to say Nibiru.
Nibiru.
There he is. We can't stop it. Come on, we can't stop and talking now.
Okay.
All right.
He won't stop.
And here's the fun stuff. So Planet X / Nibiru. Planet X was originally introduced to the American people by a woman from Wisconsin.
Yay! Wisconsin represents.
Yay!
Yes. So we are in Menominee Falls right now. Wendy and I live in Madison, Wisconsin. That's where our band plays. Allison lives in the beautiful metropolis of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
That's right, the haunted, very, very haunted
Yes.
Milwaukee.
Yes.
Full of ghosts.
It is it's a very haunted city, a very scary place.
Ghosts around every corner.
So that's Nancy Lieder, Lieder, was the first person that kind of, well, let's just go into a little bit about what she said back in 1995. So Nibiru has been around since 1995 at least. And Planet X, this strange, massive object, is going to crash into the Earth. It's a doomsday event, and people call it the Nibiru Cataclysm. So that's what Nancy said in 1995.
And we're all dead.
Right. That's why you have to get the truth out, because we don't have to necessarily be dead. And we'll go into this because Nancy tells us where to go to be safe. That you can find safe zones when the polar shift happens.
Oh, so she believes in the polar shift too.
Yeah, she's all about the polar shift.
That's actually an Edgar Casey thing.
Okay.
Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet, talked about it.
What do you mean the sleeping prophet? Like he just liked to nap or what?
Well, as far as I know, he would go into a trance. He'd take a little nap, and then he'd be able to go into a trance at that point. So he wasn't like psychic when he was awake. He would actually have to lull himself into a certain altered state, if you will, and then that's where he would get his information downloads.
All right, interesting.
That's cool.
So Edgar, right, and we'll have a whole episode about Edgar Casey sometime because he obviously you can still buy Edgar Casey books.
Oh yeah,
any bookstore. Edgar Casey is very much still with us in some way, or his influence is still felt.
Yeah, there's a whole organization dedicated to him as well that still meets.
Don't you wish that you could fall asleep and just get all your work done?
I do.
That'd be amazing.
I really do.
Like, did he ever wake up and be like, hey guys, what did I just say? Something crazy? Come on, what did I say?
I think so.
Something all wacky?
That's where his prophecies came from. So he had the best gig ever.
Yeah, so he basically takes care of his work in his sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Edgar.
Yeah, and he thought there was an undiscovered planet out there as well, and that when it got close enough to Earth, it would cause a polar shift. And then we'd all die.
Bingo. And this is the heart of Nancy's prophecy. Okay, a polar shift.
Right.
What exactly is that?
Well, I don't know because I'm not a scientist, but what I think they thought it is that the skin of the Earth would rotate. So, like
Ew.
our position, like Wisconsin's position on the map, would change. So, maybe we'd be in the tropics.
So maybe we should look forward to a polar shift.
Maybe we'd be in the southern hemisphere.
Interesting.
I don't know, but it's the idea that the surface of the Earth would shift like the skin around, and just you'd change global locations almost instantly.
Okay.
But wait. So that's what I was wondering. How much time we're talking about for this to happen? And you said instantly, like overnight.
if it happened slowly, would the planet really be in danger? Because you'd be like, oh my God, Wisconsin's going to move to where
It's getting
Antarctica
warmer.
is.
Ooh.
All right. Then we'd be
No,
like, well,
Antarctica.
we've
That's
got-
not much of a difference.
guys, we only have 4 million years to handle this. What are we going to do?
All right.
No, but that's completely reasonable, Wendy. It has to happen in something like a month.
It was supposed to be very quick, and the cataclysm would result because everything's shifting. So the
Right.
oceans spill on all over the land, and mountains come crashing down because of all the intense pressure.
Right. And that's coming from the scientist Allison about
Yes.
the Nibiru cataclysm. Okay. So, I mean, she goes into detail. And originally, she said that this was going to happen in May of 2003.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're talking to each other in February of 2016.
Hey.
So, hey, we
So we're
guys,
still
Bullet
alive.
dodged.
we made it. We made it past this cataclysm.
High
Thank God.
five.
Yeah. Okay. Now, here's the thing, though. She describes herself as a contactee from
Uh-oh.
extraterrestrials from the Zeta Reticuli star system. And there's an implant in her brain
Oh.
that lets them talk to her. And she said that she was chosen to warn mankind about Planet X, like sweeping through the inner solar system and causing this cataclysmic shift.
Wow.
So, aliens in Zeta Reticuli. I think they call them Zetas,
Okay.
and which makes them sound like a frat or
I was
something
thinking
like
of
that.
fish.
Yeah.
Like betas.
Oh, betas and
Oh,
zetas.
that's nice.
Don't
The
put them
betas-
together in a tank, though. I mean,
it's very
that's
dangerous.
And that could be a band name.
bad. Zetas and
Yeah.
betas?
Well, interestingly enough, so, I mean, we talked a little bit about the abduction of Barney and Betty Hill. And that's really the first alien abduction story of the modern era. Happened in the 1960s. It's a couple that experiences missing time when they're driving home from a party or something like that. And when they come back, several hours have passed. They're back in their car and they don't remember anything. And it was through hypnotic regression that they started remembering what happened to them on the alien spacecraft. And Betty Hill actually draws a star map.
Right.
And the closest thing to that star map was this star system called Zeta Reticuli.
Huh.
And it's pretty far away. You can't just send an email or whatever from Zeta Reticuli.
Well, if you
It's
have a special implant,
Then you can't.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a modem upgrade.
yeah.
It's about 39 light years from the Earth, which is 12 parsecs. And I didn't know parsec was an actual unit of
I was
measurement.
wondering about that too.
Yeah, it says, or 12 parsecs. Well, thank you, Han Solo.
Everything I know I learned on Star Wars.
Right, it's only 12 parsecs. Well, the Millennium Falcon can make the Kessel Run. And, anyway, Zeta Reticuli is orbited by a circumstellar debris disk. So it's got a whole bunch of crap surrounding it, probably
Otherwise known as a whole bunch of crap.
That's what I heard Michio Kaku say that.
Hi.
Anyway, so Zeta Reticuli is pretty far away. That's where Betty Hill said her aliens came from, and that's where Nancy said it. So, I mean, we've had experience with the Zetas in the past.
Multiple references.
When you think about, we call them a frat or whatever. When you think about what they did to Barney and Betty Hill,
Okay, let's not go into that. This
No,
is
but
a
what I mean
family
is
show, even though
just
we're talking
right.
about Planet X.
I understand, but just right, the kind of pranks they pulled on Barney and Betty Hill
Yes.
were like a hazing ritual. I'm just saying.
They had to get
At
some
the
kind of
Zetas.
samples, I guess.
Yes, they had to get some kind of samples. The grossest samples you could possibly get. I just hope Zetas have rubber gloves on the ship.
Oh.
If you're up there, you're like, oh, hey, I don't know if you understand English, but I just want to know if you washed your hands.
You got any hand sanitizer?
For the love of,
Or whatever those things are. Flippers, I don't know.
Yeah.
Flippers.
Did you wash your flippers
Tentacles.
before checking me out, before doing this? Okay, so she starts, and so Nancy is from an area of Wisconsin, right by the Wisconsin Dells. So that's where the implants happen, I guess.
Wow, and that's not far from us at all.
That is not far from
That's
us at
where you
all.
go to get implanted, is the Dells.
I thought it was just for water parks. Now, to anybody that hasn't been to Wisconsin Dells who's listening to this podcast, which is probably everyone, the Wisconsin Dells is like a theme park kind of tourist town that's in like mid-central Wisconsin.
If you can believe it, it's actually a thing.
Yes.
It really is.
And it's all like water parks and go-kart
Yeah.
lanes.
Amusement parks. And
Yeah, and when you're a Wisconsin kid, and even if you're a kid from Illinois or something like that, like you love to go to the Dells because it's like like huge water parks and roller coasters, and it's really fun. But also, it's where you get implants.
Apparently.
So that's the thing about the Wisconsin. So she's from near the Wisconsin Dells, and I don't know if that's a safe zone because she has a website, Zeta Talk, and I don't know if you guys have been to Zeta Talk.
But we'll link to it in the show notes.
Of course, we'll link to it in the show notes.
Which, by the way, othersidepodcast.com/80.
Wow, this is our 80th show.
Yes.
Wow.
Holy cats, yeah.
Yeah, so-
I was going to say.
And hopefully we're not jumping the shark on this one. So we're
It's all
jumping the Planet X.
Right. When you talk about Planet X, because of all, there's a lot of weird New Age theories, right? Planet X is right at the top
Yeah.
Yes.
because it's like, hey, you know what? There's a planet that astronomers haven't seen yet. Okay, how do you know this? The thing in my brain, dummy.
Because they told me.
because they told me through the implant.
Yeah, it's the Zetas. Well, I'm sorry I don't have the Zeta implant. Does that come with the new iPhone?
Well, the thing about it is that, why we're doing this podcast is, well, I've been hearing about, we've been hearing about Planet X for years, and having that very thought that, oh, come on, like really, there's a planet that is on, such a long orbit that's why we haven't seen it yet. Oh, I don't think that could be true. And it is true. We're finding out that, that there is a theoretical planet. They have not found it yet, but, based on the math, based on the weird gravitational, based on science, the weird gravitational effect that's been happening to, the outer planets and the other objects,
It's
the
a
dwarf
6 hands on the
planets.
clock.
That's right. So based on that, there probably is a huge planet that's 10 times the mass of Earth that's out there on an orbit that is about 10,000 or 20,000 years, between 10,000 and 20,000 years is how long it takes this Planet 9 to orbit around the sun. So,
It's a long time.
yeah.
That's a really long time.
And Zachariah Sitchin said that that Planet X only would take 3,600 years.
Now
to
we're moving
orbit.
on. Okay,
Yeah.
we were talking. We'll get back to Nancy in a little bit, but we're moving on to Zachariah Sitchin.
Oh, sorry.
Now, Zachariah Sitchin is probably the person who is most associated with Planet X and what he called like the Nibiru. Oh, when do you
We don't.
play it?
So let's just say Planet X.
Nibiru.
Okay.
Or he also called it Marduk or Marduk. I don't know. I'm confused about that one. Just call it Planet X.
Yeah, so Planet X, Nibiru, Marduk. He said that he was decoding these ancient Sumerian and Babylonian texts. And they talked about this planet that Earth ran into, and it was associated with like all these horrible things that happened 3,600 years ago or whatever, or whenever the Nibiru came by Earth. And the fun part about it is that of the people who live on Planet X. And who lives on Planet X?
Not the sexy Nordic. I can't even say Nordics. I don't even know Nordics. Nordics. No, not the sexy Nordics. No, it's not the sexy Nordic aliens.
It's not the sexy Nordic aliens. It is the Anunnaki.
Oh.
Yeah, Anunnaki coming back. And so, right.
And not desirable at all. I would think Anunnaki. No.
They're the reptilians that control our planet.
Are they reptilians? Ooh.
Yeah, the Anunnaki David Icke talks about them as reptilians.
That's right. David Icke talks, and he talks about reptilians, that we have a secret group of reptilians running our planet right now that the Anunnaki originally installed here. Oh my gosh. The connection is made.
Planet X connects to David Icke. I think in our original podcast where we talk about David Icke, we pronounce it David Icke the entire podcast.
David Icke, huh? Oh, sorry.
David Icke.
David.
So if you go
David
back and
Icke.
listen, go back and listen to that podcast and hear me sound like a total dope. That is what you hear when you listen to that podcast. But yeah, the Anunnaki, the same ones that killed Judge Scalia this week.
Not true.
Right. Oh, right. But the Anunnaki had a part in it, or at least they control the Supreme Court. So whatever they would decided to happen, anyway. But yeah, the Anunnaki, who control the planet, the reptiles that rule the world.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. They live on Planet X. So
that's their home world.
Zecharia Sitchin said, and Zecharia Sitchin, he wrote a lot of books on Planet X. And he was on Coast to Coast all the time. Allison, do you still have the Coast to Coast description of Zecharia Sitchin up?
Yeah, I do. Okay, let's see.
He's like a Russian.
Yeah, it says.
I'd like to say the word scientist, but I think we should use the word author.
Yes, author, researcher.
And researcher. Researcher's good.
Okay, this is the biography according to Coast AM. It says an eminent Orientalist and biblical scholar, Zecharia Sitchin is distinguished by his ability to read ancient Sumerian clay tablets and other ancient texts. Through such texts, religious documents, and archaeological findings, he reconstructs epic events that support the existence of extraterrestrial gods who once set nation against nation and man against man. Ooh, this is reminding me of Stargate a little bit.
Wow.
He is a graduate of the University of London and worked as a journalist and editor in Israel for many years. He now lives and writes in New York. Well, that's an old description because...
Right, because he did.
He is dead, and his last appearance on Coast to Coast was 2010, I believe.
But, I mean, he carried that Planet X flag, and he introduced the Anunnaki. Like Nancy Lieder, she introduced the whole idea of the polar shift and the Zetas to it. But Zecharia is like, hey, guys, there already are some people that live on Planet X, and that's the Anunnaki, who, when they install their leaders here and stuff like that, the reptilians, who control it. And so, I mean, Zecharia Sitchin, I used to remember listening to him on Coast to Coast, and I was always intrigued because he sounded like an intelligent guy.
Yeah, he had a really good accent. That helps with
Russian,
credibility.
It does help with credibility.
Has some gravitas to it. You're like, I gotta listen now.
Yeah, like this guy really knows what he's talking about, and he's
speaking the truth.
He can read ancient Sumerian clay tablets. Like I can't.
That's pretty hardcore.
Well, and the thing, what I like too, though, is that it's already 2010 when they write that, and they still call him an Orientalist. Like you have to be an old man to get away with like, oh, I'm an Orientalist. Hey, cut that. Like you can't say that.
Right. That word's gone out of favor.
Right. It has. And we talk about the obsession with Orientalism that came around with Egyptology. And also why all of the theaters and stuff from the early 1900s have Oriental names.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
In our episode about the Haunted Hollywood, I go in front of the Oriental Theater, and we also talk about the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood and how they have... we partied right next to the Egyptian Theater.
Yeah, we
remember?
did. We had a concert.
And
2 doors down from there.
Right. And so they named them those things because they were really interested and they were Orientalists. And so the idea of that this place as a strange, mysterious thing, that's why the Oriental Theater in Milwaukee.
Right. Yeah. So people were really fascinated in the Occidental world. That's the counterpart. In the Occidental world with the deep, dark, mysterious East. Right.
And so Zecharia Sitchin was when he's dealing with these Sumerian clay tablets and discovering the secrets of the Anunnaki and sharing them with us, and obviously sounding like a crazy guy the entire time. But
that's a value judgment. But
yeah, it is. You're right. That's a value judgment.
But yeah, there are scholars who have questioned his work, and even some scholars that were on Coast to Coast. One who is locally based, is from Wisconsin. questioned his translations of the Sumerian texts.
Who's the guy from Wisconsin that questioned his translation?
I think his name is Michael Heiser.
Okay.
So
Anyway,
maybe we got to get him on in the future.
I think we do, because you got to be pretty gutsy to take on Zecharia Sitchin. The man is a noted Orientalist.
That's right.
So he also predicted this thing, but it was less about the cataclysm and more about the Anunnaki screwing with us every 3,600 years.
Yeah, come back
That's
and
not very nice.
make
Right.
sure that their reign here on Earth is unquestioned. Make sure that their leaders are reinstalled if necessary.
And that really is like Stargate.
Yeah, like very much like Stargate.
So if you guys have ever seen the movie Stargate, everybody obviously at this table has
Yes.
seen Stargate.
Yes.
But the idea is that ancient aliens came and they installed themselves like in Egypt and stuff, and they had the Egyptians worship them, build pyramids to them, and they took the place of the Egyptian gods. So these ancient aliens were actually the Egyptian gods, and then they took off for a while, and then you find the Stargate, and it comes back, and Kurt Russell has to kick some butt to make sure that they don't take over our planet again. And then eventually MacGyver joins the Stargate team, and like MacGyver's on Stargate for like 10 years. To tell you the truth, I never watched the Stargate TV show.
No, me
It's
either.
on all the time. The reruns are on one of the over-the-air channels, like almost continuously.
And I know it's got it. I mean, people love it, and I'm sure if I was a kid, I would have loved it. I just didn't have that particular time at that time in my life. I was just like, it's okay. But yeah, so Stargate kind of covers that same kind of thing that Zecharia Sitchin's going into here. It's not as much about Planet X, but it is about these ancient aliens being worshipped as gods. Now, when he didn't get to in the Cataclysm, though, is like, let's say a pole shift happened. Let's go back to Nancy Leader for a second. And let's say this pole shift happened. How do we know where we go? How do we find a safe place?
Like where the ocean isn't going to overtake you or something.
Right, where you're not going to die. And the thing is, she has a website on her zetatalk.com
that's
with 7 steps to safe location determination. So this is your chance. If you haven't been to this site yet, this is your chance to save your life.
Oh my gosh.
And it also shows you when the pole shift happens where the countries are going, where the continents are going. North America basically shifts west or east a bunch. So North America and Greenland kind of shift northeast, when you're looking at it. South America goes way north. Like South America
Yeah,
is
it's not even.
Yeah, if you're South America, you're in trouble, brother, because you're going
Put the bikinis away.
Yeah,
Get
it's
out
done.
the,
You think the
snow
Zika?
pants.
You think the Zika virus is scary? Wait till you happen to the Nibiru cataclysm. Like you're going straight to North Pole. So that's the warning of South America. Antarctica.
Ooh, it's gonna get toasty there.
Yeah,
Right on the equator.
Antarctica goes on the equator, which if you're a penguin, that sucks.
Oh, poor
Like,
penguin.
If you are a penguin, you gonna die.
Sad penguin.
Oh, well, what
Yeah.
about us in Wisconsin? Where are we going? To the tropics, right? We're going to take the position that Hawaii's in right now, right?
No, we're gonna be basically where Greenland was.
Oh, come on, Greenland?
Yeah. And the funny thing is they call it Greenland when it's really full of ice.
I know. Well,
Right,
It's
it's not
freezing.
green.
And they call Iceland, that they call it Iceland. It doesn't have, I mean, it's not that cold.
I don't
Iceland
like
is
this
even
prophecy
cold as
anymore.
Wisconsin. Yeah, this prophecy is the worst because we thought we were going to the equator, but
Yeah.
Antarctica goes to the equator.
This is
That
cool though.
makes no
You can,
sense.
if you go to this website, you can print the map and tape it together to form a new globe. So you have your own little new world globe.
Yeah, a little DIY globe, so you know where you're going to be when the cataclysm happens. Now, India basically goes to where Antarctica was. Europe goes where South America was.
You really should just look at the map and see because it's different.
Africa's kind of out in the Australia area. I mean, Australia's somewhere inside Asia. It's all a mess.
I'm thinking we go to Antarctica
Yeah. Okay.
and then we just kind of hang out until the shift happens. Bring our bathing suits and our snorkels.
That's it. And just live. We can live in that base wherever they shot the thing.
Right. Exactly.
That sounds appealing.
Because
You guys in?
because that base is empty, Allison.
No, I don't think it's empty. There's those little skittering things
That
with many
sounds
legs
appealing.
in the corners.
So we go to Antarctica. We go to that base. We grab Kurt Russell's flamethrower from that movie for a just in case. and then we take it out. Or we can go to the other one, the Norwegian base. Anyway.
Okay,
Antarctica
I like those are Nordics there at the Norwegian base, right?
Yes. Now, are there alien Nordics? I guess I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you don't know who I'm talking about? Okay,
No.
so apparently, in ufology, there are many alien races that people have described. And
Right,
of
like the
course,
Zetas.
there's the Greys, which I think everybody probably knows, and then there's the Reptilians, which need no description really, and the name takes care of it. And
Yeah.
then there's the sexy Nordics, which are supposed to be,
Va-va-va-voom.
yeah, like very attractive, tall.
Are they literally called the sexy Nordics? They're just
Well,
Nordics?
they're called the Nordics. I just
One word.
they're just called the Nordics. Anyway, so they're
the
tall,
sexy Nordics, baby.
slender, long-haired beings.
Buff. They're buff.
Yeah,
They work
they're
out.
really buff. They're really buff, and they look, kind of like Norwegian, little Thorish, blonde hair
Sure.
and blue eyes, really tall and built. So
Oh.
yeah, the sexy
All right.
Nordics.
Okay, well, that's an alien that I would. It's like, okay, take me to your leader or whatever,
Yeah,
right? Or
right.
Take me to your leader now.
yeah, it's like, go ahead and run all the experiments you want. Yeah, I don't mind. No, try this. Yeah. Anyway, so I love the sexy Nordics. I haven't heard of them before, so that's exciting. The idea is
Okay.
they don't have to be like butt ugly aliens.
No.
But they're sexy ones,
Yeah.
and they'll experiment on us. That's nice.
Right.
Are they evil? Are they evil
No,
Norsemen?
they're supposed to be nice too.
Oh my gosh, they're the best ever.
Oh, then that's not
are you
fair.
Googling?
They're sexy and nice.
No,
Yeah.
we're having a conversation here. So, I don't like the idea that they're nice because all of a sudden they're buff, they're from space,
They got
and
everything.
They're nice. That means they're gonna like all your chicks
yeah.
belong to us.
All your
They're gonna
Earth
take,
belong to us.
they're gonna take all our Earth women, and they're just because it's like, well, yeah, he is from space, but he's built. He's a super nice guy, and like, I don't care if you have a Lamborghini, it ain't gonna compete with a spaceship.
Okay, here's what Google says. If you Google Nordic aliens, it comes up with a description, and here it is. Nordic aliens are one of several types of extraterrestrials featured in the UFO mythos. Nordic aliens.
Please tell me there's an artist rendering.
There is actually.
Oh,
Nordic aliens are said by self-described contactees and some ufologists to be a group of humanoid extraterrestrials who resemble European racial images, or more specifically, Nordic Scandinavians. So they look like Thor. And that's
they
what they
are.
show
You know
you.
what?
They're Teutonic supermen from space.
Yes.
I think the artist who rendered this should have maybe used their imagination a little better. I don't think they're very sexy.
No?
They look angry.
Oh, this one looks angry? Oh, well, these guys in the Google
Okay.
description. But
I need to look for
there's-
more.
Yeah. There's one that looks kind of like Fabio.
Yeah.
In,
That's what I'm saying.
in a
That's what I
purple
imagined.
jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, Earthmen got we're done for sure. Like the race is gonna, the human race is in
Oh man,
trouble.
this one's even better. I'm gonna send this a link
all right,
to this
all
one.
right.
Well, we'll have to put those in the show notes
Anyway,
for
Yeah.
everybody to
But
enjoy.
the thing is, Zechariah Sitchin never talks about the sexy Nordics.
and that was a really big tangent,
It is.
Sorry.
but it was a fun one. No, it was.
Yeah,
it
but
was
the
a
thing is, but
great
we're talking about the
tangent.
variety of aliens out
Yeah.
there because we're talking about the Zetas. We're mentioning the reptilians, the Anunnaki that live on Planet X and Nibiru. Sexy Nordics might live, like they might have their own continent there or whatever. And they're nice too. Like they're not evil aliens. Like, did you ever see that Scarlett Johansson movie Under the Skin?
Oh yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah. Well, there's a sexy alien you don't want to run into.
No, that was bad.
What's the worst of the sexy alien movies? I think we all can agree. Species.
Species, yes.
Yes, of course.
Remember, Species is it's a sexy alien that wants to reproduce and stuff quickly,
Right.
but then
That's so
but-
nice. as it
But then she
turns out.
stars in a movie that's horrible, and so nobody does. Now, for a really good sexy alien movie, so take Under the Skin and also look for Life Force.
Oh yes, Life Force. Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah.
that movie because it's more than just a movie about aliens. I mean, there's elements of vampirism and the zombie apocalypse. I mean, it seems to have all of this good stuff like stirred together in a pot with a love story.
Wait, wasn't Life Force?
Go ahead. It's got a naked alien walk. The alien's just naked the entire time too, and so that makes it extra fun.
Right.
It's just a naked alien walking around, turning people into space vampires.
That's fun. I thought Life Force was the movie where the guy has to like shrink down and go in a little ship in the guy's body.
You're thinking of Inner Space.
Inner Space.
Oops.
With Martin Short and Dennis
Quaid.
I
Dennis
love that
Quaid, the
movie.
non-crazy brother.
I love that movie. Okay,
that-
I was way off on
Inner
that one.
Space. Inner Space is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But Life Force is directed by Toby Hooper, and Toby Hooper is the man that gave us the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Oh, wow.
and Poltergeist.
Wow.
So Toby Hooper is he's a great director, and Life Force is a really strong movie to recommend.
And it's Britalicious, too.
Oh yeah, Patrick Stewart. It's Patrick Stewart right before he becomes Captain Picard, isn't it?
Really? Patrick Stewart, isn't it? Oh, I got to see it again for
Yeah.
sure.
So Life Force, it might be on Netflix, but it's definitely worth a watch. But that's not the only pop culture that we're talking about sexy aliens, but let's talk about pop culture that talks about Planet X. Scooby-Doo had an entire Nibiru plot arc.
Really?
That there was going to be a Nibiru cataclysm on the Mystery Incorporated. Scooby-Doo just came out a couple years ago. And I haven't watched a Scooby-Doo episode in a long time because
you're grown up now, right?
yeah, and Scooby-Doo used to be my favorite.
Aw.
When I was little, Allison and Wendy, I loved Scooby-Doo. That was what I would get excited when.
So does Ben, our bandmate.
Yes,
Oh my
I know
gosh.
Ben
That
loves
was his
Scooby-Doo.
favorite.
Now,
in
what's your
college.
take?
I mean,
Right, it was in college, and then I went back when Ben was watching him in college, and I was like, "Holy crap! This is the stupidest thing I ever seen."
but that was his favorite
And you
childhood
used to
cartoon.
love
as well.
it.
Yeah. Oh man, I used to love Scooby-Doo so much, and so I don't watch new Scooby-Doo because I don't want my childhood to be destroyed anymore.
So, okay, speaking of things that destroyed your childhood, what's your take on Scrappy-Doo?
Annoying.
Let me add him. I'll
Love or
splat him.
hate?
No, I always hated Scrappy-Doo anyway.
He annoys me.
And because he would always get them in trouble. I couldn't handle how nobody just would lock Scrappy in a car and don't roll down the window.
Mike.
Oh,
He should be a parking lot casualty. Scrappy was the worst. Because he'd always get them in trouble. And everybody's oh yeah, let's bring Scrappy along. Even though every time he comes along, he gets us in a fight with a ghost that we can't take. We have to end up running away. Or why did they bring along Scooby-Dum? Do you guys remember Scooby-Dum? Scooby's great. Scooby had
it
a
was
great
like
cousin.
the Bizarro Superman or something like that?
And Scooby-Dum's just hey, Scooby.
But we got to know, Allison. What's your take on Scrappy? Yay or
Well, I
nay?
think he was the Jar Jar Binks of, of Scooby-Doo.
Ouch.
Misa want to get in a fight.
Misa want a Scooby snack. Wasn't he always stealing the Scooby snacks too?
Let Misa at him.
He's a brat.
Yeah, no, he the Scooby,
All right.
quote unquote Scooby snacks,
All right.
which they had to get at the Colorado dispensary before taking the Mystery Machine out for a ride. So it's featured on Scooby-Doo, and also there's an entire Doctor Who. The first Doctor encounters the Cybermen on their home planet of Mondas in the episode called "The 10th Planet."
Ooh.
And that idea, and this is spoilers for the first Doctor. So this episode aired in 1966. If you're afraid of, if you're going at it from the beginning, I'm spoiling the third season here. That Earth had a twin planet originally called Mondas, and then a cataclysm happened that sent Mondas out into space, and also created our moon or something like that.
Ooh.
And in order to survive being far out in space, the people that lived on Mondas, who were humans originally, had to develop cyber parts, and they became the Cybermen. And then they eventually build an engine in their planet, and they head back to Earth to go kick our butts.
Oh, okay. So this is really interesting that you're mentioning this because now, I've been thinking, as we're recording this about, Planet X and thinking about these old, Sumerian stories that Zachariah Sitchin was digging up. And I think the way it goes is that there was a planetary collision between a planet called Tiamat and a planet called Marduk. And so
Tiamat is also the name of a badass dragon.
Oh, really?
in Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
Okay.
Because Tiamat's named after like an ancient Babylonian god.
That's right, and which was a dragon. Anyway,
Yeah.
so these two
bad one.
planets collided, and out of the collision came our moon, and then the other planet, which I think was Marduk, went sailing, far away and got onto another orbit. So I think that really has a connection to these ancient Sumerian texts.
Right. So I think Zechariah Sitchin watched a lot of Doctor Who before he decided to code them. And he's like, wow, I can't believe there's this another planet and there's a collision and all this stuff happens, and then the Cybermen living on Nibiru. And so Doctor Who, like, there's an entire the Cybermen are probably the Doctor's second greatest foe. Because they were introduced in the 1960s, and they're like every couple of seasons there's at least a Cyberman episode, and they that's the 10th planet. They are the twin humans that lived on there that eventually decided to change themselves into a motionless Cyberman. And if you guys haven't seen Doctor Who and you listen to this podcast, number one, watch it. Number two, if you haven't seen Doctor Who but have seen Star Trek: The Next Generation, basically think of the Cybermen as the original Borg.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they pretty much got the idea of the Borg from the Cybermen, except the Borg have a cube and the Cybermen have a planet that they drive around. Now, in true Doctor Who fashion, like, not that much weird gravity stuff happens when an entire planet just shows up next to Earth one day. And, like, nobody, like, none astronomers, if a planet was driving through space. Now, think about how you can see a car from a mile away. If it's a clear... let's say some kind of flat road, horizon, you can see like, oh, that car is coming from a mile away. Sometimes you see it so far out that it takes like 10 minutes for that car to go from there to here. Now imagine you're not just on a clear road, but you're in space. And a planet just travels 1 million miles to Earth, and no astronomers know. It's like, oh my God, look at this. There's a planet showed up.
And it's not just like an asteroid or something. It's
right. It's Mondas.
planet.
It's Mondas, Planet X, the 10th planet. And so that's just a couple of our pop culture references to the 10th planet and Planet X. And, I think one of the reasons we had to talk about Planet X and finally confront the prophecies and finally get into the whole, like, what we've been making fun of for the past 20 years is that they might be right. I'm not saying the Anunnaki are right. I'm not saying that the Zetas who gave us that warning, because the thing is, Nancy gave us a warning, and here's what made me think of locking Scrappy in the car. So Nancy Leader appeared on K-Rock in Los Angeles. K-Rock FM is a famous rock and roll radio station, or was a famous rock and roll radio station, especially in the 80s. And she appeared talking about the upcoming Nibiru cataclysm. And she said you should euthanize your pets.
Oh.
So they don't have to experience the pole shift. And she said she euthanized her own pet.
Yeah.
Because of the pole shift, upcoming pole shift in the cataclysm. So
that makes me sad.
So I hope nobody actually euthanized their pets.
Right.
Aside from her.
Well, she said later on she said she euthanized the pet because it was sick.
Oh. Okay, well that's different, I suppose.
But I mean, it's also very different than to go on
to tell people to do
the
this,
most popular radio station in Los Angeles and tell everybody they should euthanize their pets. And this was before Hail Bob.
She wasn't just talking about Scrappy Doo, like she was talking about everybody.
Right. It wasn't just like if your pet's totally annoying and keeps getting into fights
and is actually a cartoon character,
you should euthanize them. Like, how do you euthanize a cartoon character? Like, you just use an eraser?
Yeah. One of those really big erasers.
Right. But anyway, so she did that. And I mean, then obviously the end of the world didn't happen and no pole shifts happened.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, they're not going to give me the true date of the end of the world because, there'll be too much mass panic and stuff if we give people the true date of the cataclysm. So it's another way of getting out of having to say, like, ooh.
Right, because if they did that, then, I mean, I wouldn't be able to keep coming on your radio program and scaring people.
I gave myself kind of an expiration date here where it doesn't matter what I say anymore. And also, they tried to tie Nibiru Cataclysm into December 21st, 2012.
Right, that was the next date.
Yeah. And, I mean, December 21st, 2012 was in all of the... They talk about Nibiru a little bit in the movie 2012.
Ah,
in the Roland Emmerich, also the man that directed Stargate.
interesting.
Yeah,
So there's a connection there.
there is a connection to the Anunnaki and Stargate and everything. So we needed to delve into Planet X because the thing is, there probably is another planet out there, but its orbit is 10,000 years. So they haven't actually seen it. They haven't actually found it. But the thing is, there's evidence of a planet even beyond your wee little wuss planet Pluto. There is something out there, and I just hope that
Nibiru.
isn't really full of Anunnaki who are coming here to take over the world. I mean, after they took care of, just like they took care of Antonin Scalia last week.
All right.
Just saying. Anyway, thank you for joining us again today, Allison.
Yeah, thanks,
we always have a
Allison.
good time talking to you.
Thank
and
you. It was a hoot.
You are always a font of paranormal knowledge.
Truly.
So the world needs more like you.
I try. Thank you so much.
So this week's Sunspot song is a song about those cataclysms, oblivion, the kind of Armageddon and the end of the world. And when you can't get that off your mind, the song is called Cemetery Highway.
Cold sweats and guilt, I can't close my eyes. Terrified by lack of hope and dying all the time. Drinks I can't remember, all the things that I can't face. All these years I spent paralyzed and living in a haze. The prophecy is broken, we must find what we have lost. When even the sheep aren't happy, no matter what you want, it's not worth the cost. And I'm counting down the days to oblivion, and I'm counting all the ways that I'm afraid you can look to the skies through Armageddon eyes. But in the end we ride a cemetery highway. It's the destination of the flat line. It's the implication I'm running out of time. I'd rather be punished, I'd rather be crashed than face nothing else and going nowhere fast. The prophecy is broken, we must fight what we have lost. When even the sheep aren't happy, no matter what you want, it's not worth the cost. And I'm counting down the days to oblivion, and I'm counting all the ways that I'm afraid you can look to the skies with Armageddon eyes. But in the end we ride a cemetery highway. My heart is beating outside my chest. Cuticles are bleeding. I am obsessed. I'm wigging out now. This has progressed to the point I can't stand still. Like I'm possessed. I'm freaking out. These Armageddon of the daring. I'm freaking out. This constant fear is overbearing. I'm freaking out. And I'm counting down the days to oblivion. And I'm counting all the ways that I'm afraid you can look to the skies with Armageddon eyes. But in the end, ride the cemetery highway. I'm freaking out. There's Armageddon of the daring. I'm freaking out. This constant fear is overbearing. I'm freaking out. 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 I'm freaking out.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at othersidepodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
And I can't believe we missed the most obvious thing we could have done. Let's talk about X, baby. Let's talk about Anunnaki.
Oh my God, Wendy.
Come on.
Oh, what a wee little planet. Get out of my solar system, eh?